Well, hello everyone. Together we're back and we're live with Trans Northland. I'm so excited to be back for another what is going to be an amazing conversation. I already know it. My name is Sean Hayes. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I'm a co-founder and the executive director here at Trans Northland. And these conversations are something we just started a couple months ago where we invite cool people from our community to come on and kind of introduce them to all of our community, let you know what they're up to and how you can connect or maybe get involved with the work that they're doing or the services they provide. And so I'm super pumped to welcome a friend and super cool human to the stage, Courtney. And I would love it if you could introduce yourself to everyone.
Great. Sounds good. Thanks, Sean. I'm Courtney Cochran, they, them pronouns. Folks maybe know me from a couple areas in the community. The last 8 years, I've been running Alseth Acres, Apothecary and Herb Farm with my partner and our animals here. And I'm just kind of in the process of launching a new bodywork business called Glittermoss Healing Arts that incorporates clinical herbalism, shiatsu, therapeutic massage. And we'll talk more about it. But I'm really excited to say that trans community has always been the center of all of the business adventures we've had. And that's true for Glittermoss and our bodywork too. So
it is so exciting to learn more about what you're moving into. And I think exactly right. Folks probably know you in a lot of different ways. And I'm sure it's similar, like when you go out somewhere, you're seeing people all the time and getting to say hi and connect. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come on and join us here and let more folks learn who you are and the cool things you're doing. So for folks who have been tuning into these conversations, you know that we usually are starting off with our Gender Joy segment. So this is just a time where us trans and gender expansive folks can just feel those beautiful moments that we have in our daily life. It could be transition related. It could be, I just bought a new dress and I love it. It could be anything, right? Those moments that really help us feel good about our gender or lack of gender or whatever that is for us, right? So Courtney, I'm curious, do you have a gender joy story to share today?
yeah, when you sent me these prompts a couple weeks ago, Sean, I came up with something and it was super rehearsed, very thought through. And then right before this, I was thinking about it and I changed my mind and thought of something that happened a little more recently. So I was at Super One in the middle of a snowstorm, as is the Duluth way. And I walked in wearing this floor length puffer coat. And I'm really obsessed with these 90s style cargo camo pants that I found. And I've been wearing them all the time. And so I'm in this giant green puffer coat, giant boots, and these oversized 90s camo pants. And this little kid stepped out right in front of me and at first said, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am," and then did at least a quadruple take and looked me up and down and was and then was "I'm sorry, soldier," and ran out of the way. So that was a gender joy moment for me, is it went from a weird, awkward getting mammed moment to now my gender is soldier. Because I was head to toe green, camo pants, big boots. So the kid rejected femme gender for me and then coded me as soldier. And I thought that was pretty cute and hilarious. So that was my recent moment of gender joy.
I love it so much. Oh my gosh. The kids are so wholesome. And I feel like that's such a great example. I was just at a local church kind of giving a talk, a little mini Trans 101 training. And I always talk about how we make mistakes, right? We constantly, totally. Us as well, trans folks, we mess up folks' pronouns and, we're all so programmed into that binary of ma'am, sir, but I love soldier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really like so yeah, I was thinking about this for myself, and I think it was on Sunday or I don't know, sometime last week that I was like feeling super restless and just, all the hard feels these days with everything going
Mhm.
on in the world and our state. And I decided I do this every couple of months where I'm like, I really want to shave off all my facial hair and just see like what my face looks like. And then it also feels like a fun thing to like get to see it grow back in and like noticing new growth and whatnot. So I did. I checked in, of course, with my kiddo, and I was like, "What do you think? I think I'm going to shave it off." And she was like, "Yeah." And then I was, buzzing my chin hairs off. She was like, "Actually, I think you should keep the mustache." So, I guess my gender joy is like beard trimming with the help of my child and just like
Amazing.
getting to enjoy that. Like that was one of the things I so deeply wanted, like after my first tee shot, like please give me the full beard. And that's just not my genetics. I love what I have, and yeah, it's been fun to like, and it feels different, right? So that I'm like playing and like, oh
Yeah.
no, I don't have my beard anymore. So those little things, I love it. So thanks for sharing your gender joy. And next, we're going to move right into our events like calendar update time, where we talk about what we've got coming up for Trans Northland that you could come and connect with us. And then we also like to highlight some events that are happening out in the community that we have on our events calendar that you can find on our website. Right there. And so, yeah, our new cool show up squad. That's our newest little initiative that we're trying out where Trans Northland doesn't plan an event. We pick one out in the community and we show up at it. And so tonight is our first time gathering with the show up squad. We're going to be at the Superior Flame starting at 6 p.m. where they have burning trivia with Aaron every other Wednesday. And so, yeah, if this is something you're into and you're watching right now, come join us and play some trivia and meet some new folks. And then, we've got a couple events we're working on in February. Melinda from Free Mom Hugs and us are teaming up again to offer sort of like a crafty hangout space. And then we'll have another show up squad coming soon. So stay tuned for more details about that. And then when it comes to our community calendar, there's a lot coming up and going on. And I wanted to highlight this event we actually talked about a couple times ago when Root was a guest. There's a Weaving Webs of Care event that's happening on Saturday, the 31st at 1 p.m. with Dr. Alex Iantafi, who is a dear friend of ours. And folks who were at the Halloween party, you would know Alex. They were one of our Halloween costume contest judges. And that was a lot of fun. So if you want more info about that or any of these events, you can pop on our website. And then I also just want to lift up our new Duluth chapter of Transforming Families Minnesota has their meetup coming up on Sunday this weekend. So that's February 1st at 1 at Peace Church. So you can learn more about all those things. And I know, Courtney, you had mentioned, before we were chatting that you've got some things in the works too, if you want to share anything about that.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I wish I had like concrete event dates, but we'll kind of just share our Glittermoss Bodywork and Herbalism studio is opening in February. Getting the keys on Monday, doing some paint and some move-in stuff, and hope to like be ready to host community there within a week. So folks can kind of stay tuned for a grand opening to come see the space and learn more about what we're doing. And I'll talk more about all of what we're doing in a little bit, but we should be having a grand opening pretty soon. And then maybe a little further out working with some other kind of body care folks in the region to plan some more mutual aid events as well. So that's kind of what we have for events coming up, but no concrete dates yet, all just in planning phases.
Yep, in the early stages. And
Yes,
so we would love to share that info when you have it, of course. Love to
great.
promote the community, doing cool things. And yeah, that reminds me, would you talk just briefly about because you were a part of, I think there were two different events that you had hosted last year, like with this collective of healers.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you share about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's been a group that's kind of been pulled together a couple times of body workers, healers, somatics folks who are all trans, gender expansive, identified people in the region. And last year we hosted two kind of bodywork pop up events, healing events for community, one right after election season and one kind of deep winter Valentine's season. And those were affordable care events with like 15-minute massage, there was Reiki, there was an herb clinic, we had dance classes, yoga sessions. Yeah, and we're kind of on pause with some of that. But that's all through the Lake Superior Queer Healers Collective. And all of us, I think, really went all in and gave it our all, but then had a lot of life stuff and health stuff come up. So we've kind of just paused that and have been caring for each other and dreaming about some things. But there were a lot of folks who also like we met through that who want to do mutual aid and trans community care that I think there'll be a lot of opportunities with some spaces that are physical spaces opening in the community from folks in that collective, both with the Bodywork studio that I'm opening. And sounds like you all talked with Britt a couple weeks ago and hoping they shared about pleasure and belonging opening, but that'll be a really sweet community space too. And they're part of that collective. So I think we'll see probably springtime some more of those like community collective events come back. But then also working with some other folks outside of that collective, um, trying to pull together some like really affordable care options where all the funds can go to some mutual aid for families impacted in Minneapolis too. So yeah,
Yes.
moving
Yes.
slowly on some of that, but hoping to be able to offer some of that in the coming weeks too.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
I know we all need more healing spaces these days. I mean, I
yeah,
think all of us are experiencing so much collective trauma daily,
absolutely.
and
There's
it's like we just get used to it and we kind of keep going
yeah,
through the motions. And if we aren't pausing to like take care of ourselves, it's like that's when I burn out. That's when I'm like
yeah,
down for the count for a couple days. And it's like I can't
or months or
do that.
years, right? Yeah, like I think especially for folks who have grown up experiencing trauma, like those patterns live in our bodies and our nervous systems. And once you get used to that, like it can feel normal. And we hard drive and go and go and go until chronic health issues come up. Like our mental health is trashed and we've dug ourselves into a hole. Like I just think it's so important that we're all caring for ourselves right now and each other.
No doubt. Yes, I could not agree more. And it's hard. It's hard to do those things, It's
So
hard
hard.
to pause and like pull ourselves away from the doom scrolling and like drink some water or, like it doesn't have to be like a big, huge, like
Yeah.
go pay
Yeah.
for this massage, right? It could just be, have I eaten lunch today? Let me go find something to eat.
Absolutely. When is the last time I talked to someone in person and not just on the internet? Like when's the last time I got outside for an hour? Like it's so easy to just lock in and like I think almost guilt ourselves out of caring for ourselves too.
Yeah, because there's always that next thing that we feel
Yeah.
like we need to
Yeah.
run to or plan, or I got to get to that protest, or I need to be, I should. And I listened to a really great podcast the other day, and they were like, find your one thing. What is that one thing that you can offer to
Yeah.
community rather than doing all the things and like, burning out even faster?
Totally. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that actually feels like a good sort of segue into our first question for you, Courtney, and this is sort of, I mean, we've known each other for many years now.
Yeah.
I think this is how I first connected with you, was like around your community organizing work. And so can you share more about how you got into that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was probably doing community organizing before I even realized that's what it was when I was really young. I grew up like in small town Wisconsin as like a like visibly queer kid, right? And like um helped start a gay straight alliance in my high school and led that while I was there. And so was doing a lot of kind of inner school system organizing around safety for my peers and for myself, and organizing lots of school events. But then I think my first like big experience with organizing was the fight for marriage equality in Wisconsin. And there's a college in my hometown, and their gay straight alliance reached out to our high school gay straight alliance, and like this gorgeous like trans femme person came and like radicalized all of us, like taught us organizing, brought us out door knocking, like taught us about like power dynamics and electoral systems and like what power you actually have as youth. And so that was really my first experience, was this like older trans person who cared enough to take the time to come and like train a group of like six socially awkward rural queer kids sitting like literally sitting on the floor in an English teacher's classroom, who cared enough to let them have a gay straight alliance, right? And like she showed up and showed up and showed up through this entire thing and like taught us all so many skills and brought us outdoor knocking. And yeah, so that was like my first real experience with organizing. And then like once I moved to Duluth in 2009, got really involved in the Loaves and Fishes community, um, and learned a lot of organizing more in direct action, organizing there. Yeah, and was really involved in a lot around like the foreclosure crisis in Duluth in that era. And like literally there was a group called Project Save Our Homes that Loaves and Fishes was a part of, and we would basically like occupy foreclosed homes until the bank would be and like use media and direct action and force them into renegotiating loan terms with
Wow.
families who are losing their housing. So I think
Oh,
we did like, I mean, like this was so long ago, I'm trying to remember, but I think we did 4 or 5 of those direct actions where we would kind of take over the house and leverage media to get the banks to renegotiate and help save people's homes. And there's a lot of kind of background organizing happening to connect other folks facing foreclosure too.
yeah.
Yeah, so really, really great mentors in that too, like folks who are no longer with us, like Donna Howard and Steve O'Neill. Just really got to have, and folks who are still with us, like Joel Kilgore, who works at Chum, and then Jay Newcomb, who was a faculty member and advisor at St. Scholastica for a long time. Um, just really amazing folks found me and gave me so much knowledge. And since I'm naming folks who supported me, the amazing trans femme person who got me into organizing was named Willow.
Well, we are grateful to Willow and gosh, all of the mentors, right? All those folks
Yeah,
out there who kind of pull us young people in and are like, "Hey, let me teach you a thing
absolutely.
or two."
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
think the first time I really got hooked into it was when somebody was like, "You're a really quiet person, but I can tell like you have a lot of anger about some things you've seen. Like, why don't you talk to me about like what makes you angry and what you want to do about it?" And I was just like, "I'm a baby. What do you mean? I can't do anything," like shifting from that like miserable teenage mindset into that like no, there's power in community mindset was a really big deal for some folks who like saw that in me and like helped me pivot that. So
yes, oh my gosh, I love it. And I mean, for folks who may not know you well, I mean, like you were behind the scenes helping a lot the conversion therapy ban that Duluth like went through. What was that, like maybe 6-ish years ago, something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And so, I just want to say thank you, because I feel like I've learned a lot from like being in community with you and like seeing how you move and how you think about organizing people and around these huge issues, right, that we're all facing in
Yeah,
community, and how you come at it from a very like healing, like centered place, which is hard, especially these days.
it
Like, it
is.
is hard to hold that. So I feel very grateful for folks like you who can do that. And so, moving kind of along in your journey, Alseth Acres, as you mentioned, probably a lot of folks have heard about that. And I know that that has sort of gone through its own shifts and growth
Totally.
over the years. So,
Yeah.
yeah, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I think like if folks who don't know me by the end of this, it'll be really clear that like I'm neurospicy and I'm always like changing and evolving and always having more ideas. But really, like Alseth Acres um, started because there was a need for mutual aid in our community, and there's no money often, and so we would just hear all the time from folks. And I know you always have at Northland too, Sean, of all of this need. Like $300 would keep me housed, like $100 would keep my car running and me having a job. And like I just think like there's such a fragility to trans life in a smaller town and all the surrounding rural areas. And so we grow a lot of food like on our property, and a lot of medicinal plants, and we do a lot of foraging and wild crafting on our land. And like there's really an abundance to that. And I think people are really hungry for that nature connection. And so we originally started basically as like pop-up sales in our driveway to raise funds for a mutual aid account. um, and that went for like almost 4 years, where we weren't like a registered business. We were really just like building off of the like herbalism and clinical medicinal plant work that I do, and growing extra food and canning pickles, and just like selling them all and then putting that into a Venmo account that we then distributed to community on like a first come, first serve basis. It was all very scrappy, very no questions asked, like, and it was pretty cool because a lot of the folks who accessed the account would later donate to it. We also took just like donations. So in like it was about 3.5 years we did that. We gave out about $10,000 from our mutual aid account. But it was also super overwhelming. Like both me and my partner had multiple jobs. We're trying to farm. I'm trying to figure out like, is like herbalism a real business for me someday? Like, how do I expand my healing stuff, my healing practices? And then we got like an insane dog who takes a lot of energy too. So it was kind of like becoming more than we could manage. And so we took a bit of a hiatus from that, and then kind of came back more as a clinical herbalism business. And now is this space where like I make herb products and sell them in community pop-up settings, and do like a seasonal herbal, like community supported apothecary, CSA, share for folks. And it's a little more focused on that, as well as like clinical herbal care, which if folks have never accessed that, it's really like a one-to-one relationship with someone who knows a lot about clinical plant work, and combining that as an alternative to or in addition to pharmaceuticals. And so one of the things that I've gone really hard on is figuring out like, what does trans health and herbalism look like? And I've spent a lot of time building clinical protocols for like what plants can be herbal hormone supplements, like, And like as a non-binary person, that's a really beautiful gray area I like to live in, is like herbal HRT, and how do I support other people in exploring that as an alternative or an addition to, or like making sure our community has that knowledge if we ever lose access to our healthcare too, right? Um,
Yes.
yeah, and also like have supported like gender affirming herbal care surrounding like surgery for folks and supporting them through gender affirming surgeries, like the whole range of it, and really tried to zone in on that. But I'm also like the kind of herbalist who's like, oh, you have a chronic cough, we'll deal with that, like it's really the
Mhm.
whole range of how plants can be a part of our lives. And yeah, so I think that's still like a huge passion of mine, is plant world and figuring out how to introduce folks to that, and want to be able to keep offering that, keep like teaching about herbal HRT stuff too, but doing it in a way that doesn't like flag my business and get it like monitored, like, so it's all kind of been very word of mouth, person to person. Yeah. So I think it's kind of a lot of different things, but growing the plants, processing the plants into medicine, working with people for clinical herbal care, exploring gender affirming herbs, like I
Yep.
just, everything about plants I'm obsessed with. So,
Oh, I love it. And yeah, I have never heard that like term, herbal HRT. And that's immediately what I thought was like, oh my gosh, there's so many folks out there right now who are very worried legitimately about losing access to HRT.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and so that y'all who are watching, like this could be a really cool thing for you to connect up with Courtney, and maybe because it sounds like you do like consultations with folks and kind
Yeah. I'll
of
do
their
one-to-one
needs.
consultations. In this last summer, I taught like a four-part series about like trans wellness with herbs that included many different things. And I had like six different folks show up for those workshops, but that's much more general info. And folks really do need to work one-to-one with an herbalist to make sure everything is safe if they're hoping to do herbal HRT. And that doesn't have to be me. There's other really, really amazing herbalists that I've learned from as well across the country. And I'm happy to refer folks to if they would love for it to be someone they don't know, or they really want to work with a trans femme person, or they really want to work with a BIPOC herbalist. Like, I'm so happy to connect folks too. So,
Yes, I love that. I feel like that's like what community is all those bridges, the connections,
absolutely. Yeah.
So if it's not Courtney, there are other folks out there, right? So I
Yeah.
love that. And also I'm just thinking like back in the early days, like I feel like y'all were selling so many eggs because you have
Oh,
chickens,
yeah.
right?
I didn't even say anything about chickens. Yeah, we do raise chickens. And so we do sell eggs, but mostly just to our neighbors who live pretty close to us at this point. At one point, we were up to like 24 birds, and now we just have 9 birds at this time. But I also
Just
teach
nine.
chicken keeping. That's, again, like, if it's not clear I'm neurodivergent before, it might be by now. But I also have taught chicken keeping classes and done mentorship for new chicken keepers too. So yeah,
All
we
of
were
the
selling
above.
a lot of eggs at one point.
Yeah, farm fresh. Oh, yeah, wow. And I know I sent so many folks over to y'all, in that time when you were doing mutual aid, and
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
we recently I mean, I think you and I had a conversation probably like 3 or 4 years ago where you were
yeah.
kind of moving away from mutual aid, and we're like, is Trans Northland the thing that could be that? And now we finally have a very
Yay.
small mutual aid fund,
Yeah,
that now, most of our events, actually all of our events are free, but now we're trying to remember to like put out a donation bucket for those events, like suggested
absolutely.
donation, $10, and all of those donations at our events go right into that mutual aid fund. And I was just talking to someone earlier this morning, And all of last year, we gave out, I think it was around $3,700. You
Awesome.
can check that on our Facebook and Instagram. I shared like an annual review kind of thing that has the exact dollar amount. But already, we're not even all the way through January, and we've given out over $1,000 already.
That's
So,
great.
like, if that can like illustrate or illuminate the need out there, like when you're hearing people talk about mutual aid in Minneapolis, in Duluth, like there are so many folks who really, really need those funds. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just like you said, like $300 will help me pay the rest of my rent, and I have another month to figure out where to get more, right? And
Totally.
so if you are someone who's like, what can I do? Find a mutual aid fund to donate to, because there's
Yeah.
plenty out there right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, just, I mean, and I was going to ask you too, like, do you have any idea how much you gave out? And over like 10 grand in that time.
It was like just under 10 grand. I get like same as you. There's a post somewhere that says the exact amount, but it was like $100 under 10 grand or something in the 3.5 years. And it was literally just like from selling eggs and jam and pickles and medicinal herbs and like occasionally teaching a mutual aid class where all the donations went to it, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then that, like, once we moved away from the mutual aid, that kind of evolved into my clinical practice and my like herbal product line. But we still like we've never actually made any money with that business. It's still very much like um, community based, right? But we've always tried to like pay attention to where we can still contribute to mutual aid with that, because like ethically, like the plants are so giving and it doesn't feel right to profit off of them necessarily. So with the products that we make, we try to break even and donate the rest, really.
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. And I feel like it just goes to show like how fucking creative queer and trans people are. Like there's no
Absolutely.
money, but we're going to think of a creative way making jam or pickling things, and like we're going to take care of our folks. So that is just, I don't know. Queer community is so cool.
It is. Okay,
Hatcher
let me
has some
know if
stuff to add.
yeah, let me know if he's too loud in the background.
It'll be all right.
He'll come back in and
So
bark directly into the camera in a moment, so we can look forward to that.
we gotta hear what Hatcher has to say.
You're gonna talk on camera.
Look at that handsome man. Oh, just the best. And he's a big boy too. How much is he weighing these days?
About 140.
Woo!
Yeah, yeah,
He's like
big.
a polar bear.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, yeah, so Alseth has now shifted, right? We're evolving. So tell us
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Alseth Acres will still like remain as the name of our herbal product line. And like that will all still be like farm produced and under cottage food licensure. So that'll like be a little different still, but yeah, we're kind of morphing. My last couple years has really been me trying to figure out how to work my way out of working for large systems and being dependent on 9 to 5 jobs for survival. Because I've always kind of, even in my organizing work, I always had full-time jobs, right? Generally a full-time job and a part-time job, and then volunteering to do organizing. And it's all this loop where you kind of burn out. And so in the last year, worked my way through a massage therapy program, and also did some training in shiatsu as well. And I'm working on some craniosacral training, and I'm happy to like break down what all of these flashy bodywork terms mean too. But all of that has kind of led to a pivot in our business where instead of just having the herbalism work, we're now going to have a physical location, which is the first for us in the 8 years of doing this healing work. Renting a studio downtown Duluth in the Torrey building, right on Superior Street, and we'll have a physical space, and it's going to be called Glittermoss Healing Arts. And in that space, I'll continue offering clinical herbalism support for folks, but I'm also going to be doing therapeutic massage that like integrates a lot of different modalities, and like is all very influenced by traditional Chinese medicine as well, which is this kind of new world I've had the privilege to explore. I'm in school for acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. Um, yeah, and so there's like kind of all these different pieces of it, but Glittermoss is kind of the rebrand for adding bodywork into my practice. Yeah, I feel like I have like 89 more things to say on that, but want to like, don't want to just like talk without it being a dialogue. So,
For
should I
sure,
keep
for sure.
talking? Do you want to ask another question?
Oh, I'm good. Actually, so I was just, we were talking about this beforehand. Courtney has a super cool new website that they mostly did themselves, like, which just props because web design is a whole other thing. But I was reading just briefly like the story of the name, and I wonder if you'd
Oh,
share,
yeah.
where does
Yeah.
Glittermoss come from?
Absolutely. Yeah. Glittermoss is a name that kind of came to me in a dream. And I'm not someone who dreams super often, but when I do, they seem really meaningful. And it's really like inspired by that like bright green moss twinkling through the snow, like when the snow starts to thaw and melt and the snow is really shiny and sparkly, but then you also get that peak of like bright green moss that somehow is like just been existing and like living under the snow and the ice all winter, and it's like so lush and beautiful looking. And so for me, like the name Glittermoss is that image that kind of came in a dream, but also is like about hope, right? Like
Mm.
having hope despite a world that doesn't give us any hope. And like a lot of what I care about and how I build my business is like creating a space for people who don't feel like they have a home in other healing spaces, whether that's like in a Western doctor's office, in a massage studio, like in an acupuncture studio, like, and want that for folks who are queer and trans to be able to walk into a room and like not have to code switch, not have to worry about your pronouns, not have to explain like what your body is going to look like when you take off your shirt in a massage, not be worried about being judged, like not to worry, to be able to come in and say like I'm having this surgery soon and I want support around potential post-surgical swelling, and for the person to know what you're talking about and have those skills to help with that. Like there's just so much code switching we do, so much translation, so much education. And like the first time I saw a provider, it was a therapist, but like where I didn't have to code switch, I was like, oh my God, there's so many things I don't say, like there's
Mhm.
so many things I don't say when I'm seeing a provider who doesn't understand me or my identity or who I am or my community or family. And I also like, I want that for other folks too. Like Glittermoss isn't just for queer and trans folks. I would say that like that's the heart of what I want for our community is like a space to breathe deep and have our bodies feel at peace and have us feel connection to our bodies in a world that tries to like make sure we never feel that. But I also like, I have this background in like crisis social work as well, and really like want safe body work for folks who have experienced trauma and need a lot more consent and communication. I want that for neurodivergent folks who maybe want to be able to like bring their own blankets, their own scents, their own music, like things that just don't exist in body work. Like it should be your space and you should be able to like ask for what you need. And I want this kind of like unique home where it's a lot more about relationship instead of just come and get your body work. It's the same kind of routine, same setting for everyone. Like if you have a very specific lotion you like, you have a very specific song you want to listen to. Can Tyler hear me? My partner's in the other room. Tyler, I does not like the relaxing spa music. And so when I've done massages at home, like I'm always like, okay, pick what you want to listen to. And the other day he made us listen to like some podcast that's storytelling about frontier people. So it was like some weird little house on the prairie storytelling while I did a massage. And I'm just like, that is what your nervous system likes, you know? And so I just want it to be a home for folks who don't feel like they have a home in these healing settings at this point, and want folks to be able to like build that relationship and communication.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have so many things to like what you said there. But like starting off, I just want to echo too, because I've had massages before in the past. There was someone that I saw pretty regularly a couple of years ago, and she was a part of the queer community, but a cis person. And so there was sort of like, I felt more comfortable going to her for sure. And I remember, I think it was just last year, I had a massage done for the first time by a non-binary person. And the experience of that was like, it was like a totally different thing. Like you said, like there's
Yeah.
so many things that we don't say, that we don't feel like, or that we worry about. Should I mention this or should I ask about this? And I remember in that massage, this person asked me, you know, like, oh, well, what kind of like physical therapy did you do after you had top surgery? Because they were kind of working on like my chest and my shoulder. And I was like, physical therapy? No one told me anything about physical
Yeah.
therapy. You know, I had my top surgery probably about 8 years ago now. And this person was like, I can still feel like that scarring and the tissue, that how it
Absolutely.
has healed without having those sort of healing practices, right? And it was like such a eye opener to me that it's just as you say, like these spaces are not out there right now for trans and gender expansive folks. And like, so I think what you have dreamed up and created and worked hard to like get the skills on is going to be so beneficial. You know, just beyond like the whole concept of like get a massage for self-care, right?
Yeah.
It's like this
Yeah.
concept of how did, you know, self-care kind of became this like whitewashed, like corporate, capitalistic, yucky, take a
Yeah.
bath,
Very, very
go get a massage.
monoculture spa vibe. Yeah.
Right, right. So how, you know, do we move away from that sort of icky thing that we've made it to be into focusing on like healing and what that
Yeah. Yeah.
whole process looks like, not
Yeah.
just
And I think
one
there's some
massage.
amazing body workers in our town doing really great one-to-one healing work. I just don't know of another space where that's centered on trans folks.
Right. Yep. And there are so many different pieces of that for, you
Yeah.
know, how we communicate what we want to be worked on or not worked on, and like the
Yeah.
language that we use, right? Like I
Yeah.
remember going to like a massage envy, and it's like there's nothing, there's nowhere on here for me to put anything about I've had top surgery,
No.
you know, and so
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And I like acupuncture is, I'm like very obsessed with acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, and so happy to be studying that. And like in approximately 4 years, we'll be able to bring that skill for our community. But just kind of want to shout out a local business owner. I had tried acupuncture a few times, and every time I went in, it was so gendered.
Hmm.
And like to the point where like I literally had a local acupuncturist tell me to choose a gender or leave their office. And so I was like giving up on acupuncture
Yeah.
as part of my care journey, and was like starting to feel like maybe this isn't even a home for my future practice. Maybe I shouldn't explore this. But there's a local acupuncturist who's a part of the queer community, Lana Schwab, who owns Agate Acupuncture. And it's like between Duluth and Two Harbors. And I started going to Lana and was just like, this is amazing. Like, I don't have to translate, I don't have to do this. I can ask you questions about the gendered parts of traditional Chinese medicine that don't feel like they stick. And like, we can have real awesome conversations about this. And so, like, I think for me, that was a pretty big experience and like tilting me out of like, I'll just do social work forever and burn myself out and then like grow a garden on the weekends and wish that that was my life, you know? Like, um, that for me, that was like, I can actually work towards this. And this, like, there are ways to have healing practices that are outside of how folks have decided they have to be.
Yes, there's no rules. We make our own rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm going to just pop up the info here again for folks who are listening and are like, oh, this sounds very cool. You need to definitely go follow Glittermoss on all the things. And so I guess my next question is about I know that you had shared that you've got your like booking link up. So I'm curious, like, what does it look like if someone just was like curious, wanted to come in, they want to maybe book a consult? Like, are you going to be like, you need to come every 2 weeks? And this, you know, or like, how does it work? I mean, it seems like a very individualized kind of
Yeah,
process.
absolutely. So if folks want to work with me at all, my, like Sean said, my booking site is live. So that info at Glittermoss Duluth is my email. And then glittermoss.com is my website. And you can see all of my offerings on there. Like, don't hesitate to just email me. I absolutely want you to feel like you know what you're booking. If you're new to body work or like you had one bad massage once and never went back, right? Like, if you've done lots of massage but you want a different experience, like just email me, period. Like, don't ever hesitate to communicate. I want folks to feel like they have options. And so when folks come in, my booking options are like herbal consultations, shiatsu, which is a Japanese body work that uses like finger, palm, or elbow pressure along energy channels in the body, very influenced by traditional Chinese medicine and integrates some acupressure as well, or an integrative massage. If you don't really know what you want, book just the starter integrative massage. Like, when you come in, we're going to sit down and have a conversation. Like, we're going to figure out what you want. We're going to talk about anything that makes you nervous. You're going to let me know, like, I really, really want you to communicate throughout. Tell me when you're moving to a different area of my body. Like, I'm fine with this, but I want to keep my clothes on. Like, I'm a little nervous about this. Like, I only want to work on the upper half of my body. Like, this is all for you. And like, we make that plan before each time we work together. And then that plan can change in the moment too, right? Like, you can be like, I actually don't feel like I want that right now. Like, just like absolutely communicate. I think there's this culture of like just really being quiet when you're getting a massage. And when you're relaxed and happy, that's great. That's great. Like, drift off, fall asleep if you want. But if you're uncomfortable, like, the culture should really be communication, especially if you're working on things that involve like deeper healing, like pain or injuries, you know, like there just needs to be that relationship. And then after folks like are done with their bodywork appointment, kind of checking in on how it felt, no one is pressured to book again right then. Like, there's this reality of like how often body work would be supportive in healing your body versus the economic reality of what folks can afford, right? And so like, that's something I always want to be very aware of is like, yeah, every other week body work would be super effective for everyone. And I can't afford that, you know, like most people can't afford that. And so that's like one of those things where it might be monthly, it might be quarterly, like it might be as needed. And that's all like up to the person who's booking. I will say that I do offer like memberships for folks who know they want ongoing body work or maybe are trying to target one specific healing thing that they know they need to come in more often for, that then gives a discount. in your ongoing cost. So that's an option for folks who are hoping to come regularly. And then I do hope to like set up some systems once I figure out how to pay the bills for my business, even for some more affordable options like pop up 15-minute chair massage or quick cupping offerings, like hoping to be able to do a monthly, more affordable drop in kind of offering. Uh, and at some point, we'll also have like a same day appointment list where folks can like get on a message thread where I send out openings in the morning that need to be filled, and you can get a discount for filling a last minute appointment. But
Oh, cool.
yeah, that will be probably a little down the road still. I kind of just have to see the pace of booking and like figure out how to pay my bills as a brand new business. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, starting a new business is never easy, and there's so many hours and time and energy that gets put into it behind the scenes, and then you're like, are people gonna show up?
yeah.
And so, and I gotta say, as someone who I recently was able to have a massage done by Courtney, and it was so good, y'all. And so I do want to just like highlight, because that is very much how our session went. We had a conversation. I
Yeah.
was able to say, this low back area is off limits, like let's stay up here, and then even asking questions about, like, oh yeah, the PT stuff, and like what are some exercises maybe I could be doing, or like, I don't know, I just feel like you had a lot of wealth of like knowledge to share, and it did feel so comfy and
Good.
just peaceful, which is what you want
Yeah,
that experience to
absolutely.
be. And it's what you should get anywhere you go, right? But as I think queer and trans folks, I think we do tend to be a little bit more choosy and like less likely to go to like a big, well-known place. And so if you know someone who knows someone like Courtney, like go and support their new business, and just all the ways that you're trying to bring healing to our community. I think it's so beautiful and so needed right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah. So, okay, this is what we always wrap up with, because
Mm,
we gotta be taking care of ourselves, y'all. It's so hard out there right now. So, Courtney, what are some ways you take care of yourself?
yeah. Um, I think just like time in nature is a really big one. And I feel like after this cold snap, I need it really bad because I wasn't outside very much. But time outside is like a really, really big way that I take care of myself. And it doesn't have to always be active. I could just go sit next to a tree I like and hang out. I could just sit by the water. But I do think like there's something beautiful about like moving your body in nature and like, I don't know, just going absolutely feral too. Like I like something about foraging for like wild berries is super, super amazing for me, or like any like thing like that where I feel like I'm totally disconnected to anything around me. It just really like I love full days without a phone, and like being able to explore and feel like it's like great inner child work and feels like touching on ancestral work even, it's just so healing to be totally disconnected from what's around you and tuned into the pattern of nature, and like how aligning that is, because like we're a mirror of what's happening in nature, like our bodies are, and so just so much alignment that comes with that. So yeah, I love just like wandering out somewhere and like going absolutely wild for a full day, whatever that means, whether that's like swimming in some strange bog water, whether that's like trying to find a specific rare plant to have a conversation with it, whether that's like eating mittfuls of wild berries until my whole body is blue. Like, I don't care. Just get weird, leave your phone behind. Like, that's so healing for me. Um, yeah. And then I think like I'm super introverted. We live in the woods a bit out of town. And like, I don't really have a lot of like close neighbors out here, anything. And so, like, intentionally creating community structures is huge for me in taking care of myself. Like, even if I don't always access them, knowing, like, here's a routine I have with this part of my community where here's 10 people I could invite to this, and probably one of them will say yes, like just
Yeah.
trying to create some like circles of community and support and some like structure that I can turn to. I definitely am someone who can like bury myself in like books and nature and get really like disconnected if I don't keep intention around it. And then like I tend to like pivot from that extreme into super social and back. And like I think keeping a balance with like how often I see my friends and my chosen family and stuff, it has been really like a hard lesson I've learned in my like after turning 30, and I've created a lot of structure around it, and it's been so good for me to do that.
Yes. Oh, I find myself in a similar boat right now in my life where I'm like, man, I do need to be intentional about getting together with my people. And yeah, it's like we're all so busy, and then it's like you're done with work and you have no energy, and it's like, I can't do one more thing. But
Yeah.
that one more thing is usually like so good. It like fills us up so much, if we can just like get the layers on, bundle up, go out, meet
Yeah,
that person for coffee, or go see
absolutely.
whatever it is, right? Like just,
Yeah.
yeah, being with our people, we need to definitely stay connected. And I'm one that can isolate very easily. Like I have just disappeared last week into a Lord of the Rings extended movie marathon. So I was just adventuring in Middle Earth after I was
For 8 full days.
off, and then I was like, wait, I could have like invited someone to like come watch it with me,
Yeah, right? Yeah.
but yeah, I think caring for ourselves as individuals is so important. And then it's like through that we're already doing like that community care, like meeting up for that coffee, we're giving care to our people and vice versa. So
Yeah.
grateful for community. And holy crap, it's like an hour flies by every time we have these conversations. So I just want to say thank you again to you, Courtney, for
Yeah.
joining us here on Live with Trans Northland. And we are like so beyond excited for this new venture that you are on, excited to support, and just so grateful for all the work that you and Tyler and all of the folks around you have done in community to make the Northland a safer place for queer and trans folks.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes. So we will be back here in another 2 weeks for a surprise guest star, because I'm still waiting to schedule that guest star. So more to come on that. And then a month from now, we will be having Raven and Cam join us from the Transgenda podcast. And so it'll be good to hear from them a little bit later in February. But yeah, we just want to say thanks to all of you who have tuned in and joined us in this conversation. I hope that you have enjoyed it as much as I have, and that you will get in touch with Courtney and Glittermoss and support and go get a good ass massage and all of the things that they offer. And yes, so you can follow us on all the things: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We have an email list you can sign up for. We actually have a brand new volunteer database that you can also sign up if you're like looking for, I want a way to help in the community. We always need more help at Trans Northland, so you can check that out on social media. And I think that's it. Any last words, Courtney, or anything we missed maybe?
No, I don't think so. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on. And you take good care, my friend. And
You
to all
too.
of you out there, take care of yourselves in this time, and we'll talk with you again soon.
All right. Bye.